My brother stole the girl I loved by lying to both of us. I was 22 years old, holding a bouquet of sunflowers, wearing my only suit, when I realized my brother had stolen the girl I'd been in love with since 7th grade. The flowers cost $43. I remember that because I kept the receipt in my wallet for months afterward, like some kind of pathetic evidence that I'd actually tried. Jules had been my best friend for half my life. Not the kind of friendship where you text occasionally or grab lunch when you're both free. The real kind. The kind where she'd call me at 2 in the morning because she couldn't sleep and I'd stay on the phone until she did. Where I knew she took her coffee with so much cream and sugar it barely qualified as coffee anymore. Where we had our own language of inside jokes that nobody else understood. We met in 7th grade. She tripped over my backpack in the hallway and landed hard on the pavement, her books scattering everywhere. I helped her up, apologizing. She called me an idiot for leaving my bag in the middle of the hallway, then immediately asked if I wanted to skip gym class with her. That was Jules, sharp-tongued and spontaneous. We spent that afternoon hiding behind the bleachers, talking about nothing and everything. By the end of the day, we were inseparable. Over the years, we both dated other people. I had a girlfriend sophomore year of high school who lasted 3 months. Jules dated this guy, Trevor, for most of junior year. Senior year, she had another boyfriend, some college guy who worked at the movie theater. I went through a few relationships in college. Nothing ever stuck. Nothing ever felt right. Looking back, I know why. They weren't her. She used to joke that if we were both single at 30, we'd just get married. She said it laughing, like it was ridiculous. Like it was this absurd backup plan. I laughed too, but I never forgot it. I used to lie awake some nights thinking about it, wondering if she meant it even a little bit. My older brother, Eli, knew how I felt. I told him a million times over the years. Every time Jules broke up with someone, I'd mention it. Every time she came over and we'd end up talking until sunrise, I'd tell Eli about it the next day. He'd roll his eyes and say things like, "If you haven't made a move by now, she's not interested, or you're confusing friendship with love, man." But I knew I wasn't confused. I knew how she looked at me when I made her laugh, this specific way where her whole face lit up. I knew how she'd call me first whenever something happened, good or bad. When her dad had his heart attack junior year, I was the first person she told. When she got accepted to her dream college, I got the call before her parents did. When Jules finally broke up with her long-term boyfriend Marcus, the guy she'd been with for almost 2 years, I decided it was time. I was 22. We'd known each other for almost 10 years. If I didn't tell her now, I never would. I told Eli one night over beers at his apartment. My hand was shaking as I said it out loud. "I'm going to tell Jules how I feel. This weekend." He gave me this look I couldn't quite place. Then he clapped me on the back and said, "Go for it, man. You've waited long enough." I spent 3 days planning it. I picked out sunflowers because they were a favorite. She'd mentioned it once years ago on some random Tuesday, and I'd filed it away. I practiced what I was going to say during my entire commute to work, in the shower, while making dinner. I must have rehearsed it 50 times, trying to find the right words. I wasn't going to give some big romantic speech. That wasn't us. I was just going to be honest. Tell her I'd been in love with her for years. That I knew it might complicate things, but I couldn't keep pretending anymore. That she was my best friend, and I wanted her to be more than that. When I turned onto her street that Saturday evening, I saw Eli's car in her driveway. At first, I thought maybe he was dropping something off. Maybe he needed to borrow something from her. Jules and Eli were friendly. Not close, but they knew each other through me. It wasn't weird that he'd be there. I sat in my car with the flowers in my lap, windows down, getting myself ready. 10 minutes passed. I kept telling myself I'd get out in just one more minute. Then her porch light came on. She stepped outside barefoot, her hair still damp like she'd just gotten out of the shower. She was wearing a hoodie, an oversized navy blue hoodie with an Attack on Titan logo on the front. Ilias hoodie, the one I'd ordered special for his birthday last year because it was sold out everywhere and I'd spent 2 weeks tracking it down online. She picked up a takeout bag from the porch and laughed. That laugh I'd heard 1,000 times, the one that made my entire day better. But this time she wasn't laughing with me. She was laughing back inside the house, towards someone I couldn't see but knew was there. I didn't get out of the car. I didn't knock. I didn't say a single word. I left the flowers on her doorstep and drove away. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. I drove for an hour, not going anywhere in particular, just driving. When I got home, I had a text from Jules. That was sweet. He loved them. She didn't say Eli's name. She didn't have to. My stomach dropped so fast I thought I might throw up. I stared at that message for 20 minutes. Then I turned off my phone and sat in my dark apartment, still wearing my suit. I didn't sleep that night. Or the one after? I kept replaying it. Her wearing his hoodie. That laugh aimed at someone else. The text that confirmed everything. When I finally saw Eli again, 3 days later, I asked him straight up, "Are you seeing Jules?" He shrugged like it was the most casual thing in the world. "You never told her how you felt, man. What did you expect? I told you I was going to. I told you that night was supposed to be the night." He just laughed. This short, dismissive sound. "Guess you were too slow." That was it. No apology. No acknowledgement that he'd done anything wrong. Just this casual shrug, like he'd beaten me to the last slice of pizza instead of stealing the girl I'd been in love with for a decade. The worst part is, I try to stay normal with her. She started officially dating Eli, and I was still the friend who helped her fix her resume when she was applying for jobs. I drove her to the DMV when her license expired. I listened when she needed to vent about work drama with her awful manager who kept scheduling her for closing shifts. I convinced myself it was fine, that maybe this was just how it was supposed to be, that I'd gotten the wrong idea about us and needed to accept it. Then we had a group dinner at Jules's apartment. Me, Jules, Eli, and a few other friends. Jules sat next to Eli on the couch, leaning into him like it was the most natural thing in the world. I sat across from them in the armchair, nursing a beer I didn't want, watching them. Halfway through the night, Eli got up to use the bathroom. Jules looked over at me and said, "You know, you're the only person who really understands me. I need your help writing a speech for Eli's birthday next month. Something funny but meaningful, you know?" I just smiled and said sure. But something inside me cracked. She wanted me to write a speech for my brother, for the guy who'd stolen her from me. Later that night, after everyone left, I was helping Jules clean up. She was washing dishes and I was drying them, and it felt so normal, so familiar, like we'd done this 1,000 times before. I found a note tucked in with some junk mail on her counter. It was addressed to me in her handwriting. She didn't notice when I picked it up. Inside, it said, "I think I've been in love with you all along. I'm just scared. I don't want to lose what we have." It was dated the day before I showed up with the sunflowers. I stood there in her kitchen, dish towel in hand, staring at those words. She'd loved me. She'd been about to tell me. And somehow, it all went wrong anyway. I read it 3 times, 4 times, trying to make sense of it. My hand was shaking so badly, I almost dropped it. Then I heard her footsteps coming back from taking out the trash. I shoved the note back where I found it. I didn't say anything. I finished drying the dishes. I said goodnight. I drove home and blocked both of them. Jules had loved me all along. She'd chosen my brother anyway. I couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't pretend to be okay. Couldn't watch them together and act like my heart wasn't being ripped out every single time. That was 6 months ago. I've been doing better, or at least I thought I was. I got a new apartment, threw myself into work. I'm a graphic designer at a small marketing firm, nothing fancy, but it keeps me busy. I started going to the gym more, picked up some hobbies, stopped checking her social media at 2 in the morning, made new friends who didn't know Jules or Eli, who didn't ask me how I was doing with that sympathetic head tilt thing people do. Then last night, I got a text from an unknown number. "I miss you. I think about you every day." I stared at it for a solid minute. I didn't respond, but I didn't delete it either. About an hour later, one of my friends texted me, "Hey man, heads up, Jules and Eli broke up." I went to bed around 3 in the morning after typing and deleting about 15 different responses to that unknown number. I knew it was her. Of course it was her. Nobody else would text me that. The next morning, I woke up to 3 more texts from the same number, all from Jules. She kept saying how sorry she was, how much she missed me, how she'd made a mistake. I didn't respond. I went to work. I couldn't focus on anything. My boss Willie noticed and asked if I was okay. I just said I didn't sleep well. He didn't push it. After work, I went to the gym to clear my head. I was halfway through my workout when I spotted Eli across the room. We hadn't spoken since I blocked him. He saw me too. For a few seconds, we just stared at each other across the weight racks. Then he walked over. "Hey," he said, like nothing had happened, like he hadn't betrayed me in the worst possible way. I just nodded and kept lifting. My jaw was clenched, so tight it hurt. He stood there awkwardly. "Jules and I broke up. I heard. She's been asking about you. Says you won't answer her texts." I put the weights down and grabbed my towel. "Not my problem." He grabbed my arm as I tried to walk away. "Look, I know I messed up, but she really misses you." I yanked my arm away. "You both made your choice." I walked out without looking back. When I got in my car, I had 5 more texts from Jules asking to meet up for coffee, saying she needed to talk, that it was important. I still didn't reply. That night, I couldn't sleep. Again, I kept thinking about that note I'd found, about how she said she loved me, but was scared. about how quickly she jumped to Eli after writing that. None of it made sense. Why would you tell someone you love them and then date their brother? Around midnight, my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I looked through the peephole and saw Jules standing there, hugging herself against the cold. She looked like she'd been crying. Her eyes were red and puffy. Her hair was messy. I almost didn't open the door. I had my hand on the deadbolt, ready to just go back to bed and pretend I hadn't seen her. But some part of me, the part that had loved her since we were kids, couldn't do it. "What are you doing here?" I asked as I opened the door. She looked up at me with those eyes that always got to me. "You wouldn't answer my texts." I didn't invite her in. "It's midnight, Jules." "I know. I'm sorry. I just really need to talk to you." I sighed and stepped aside. She walked in and looked around my apartment. I'd moved since the last time she'd been over. Got a new place after everything happened. Needed a fresh start. The walls were still mostly bare. I hadn't gotten around to decorating. "Nice place," she said. I didn't respond. I just stood there with my arms crossed, waiting for her to say whatever she came to say. She sat down on my couch without being invited. Classic Jules. Always making herself at home wherever she went. I stayed standing. "Eli and I broke up," she finally said. "I know. I made a mistake." She looked up at me. A huge mistake. I didn't say anything. I'd imagined this moment so many times over the past 6 months. Her coming back, saying she was wrong, asking for another chance. But now that it was actually happening, I felt nothing. Or maybe not nothing. Just numb. Like I'd used up all my emotions already and had nothing left. "Did you mean it?" I asked. "The note. Did you mean it?" She looked confused for a second, then her eyes widened. "You found that?" I nodded. "Yes," she said. "I meant it. I was going to give it to you that night. But then Eli showed up and... And what?" I finally sat down, but in the chair across from her, not next to her on the couch. I needed the distance. "He told me how you felt about me," she said quietly. "Said you'd been in love with me for years, but were too scared to say anything. Said you'd probably never make a move." I felt my jaw tighten. And I got scared. I thought about what would happen if we tried and it didn't work out. I'd lose my best friend. So when he kissed me, I don't know. It seemed safer. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The sound came out harsh and bitter. "Safer. You chose my brother because it was safer." She winced. "I know how it sounds." "Do you?" "Because it sounds like you knew how I felt, knew how you felt, and still chose him." She looked down at her hands. "I know I messed up, but I'm here now." I got up and started pacing around my living room, the floorboards creaking beneath my feet. The whole situation felt surreal. 6 months of silence. And now she was sitting on my couch like she had a right to be there. "Why now, Jules? What changed?" She wiped at her eyes. "I missed you every day." "Eli, he wasn't you." I stopped pacing. "That's it? You missed me? After 6 months of nothing. I tried to call you. I texted. You blocked me." She was getting defensive now. "Yeah, after finding out you chose my brother over me, even though you supposedly loved me. Do you have any idea what that did to me?" She stood up and took a step toward me. "I made a mistake. People make mistakes." I took a step back. "This wasn't forgetting to return a book, Jules. You knew how I felt. You felt the same way. And you still chose Eli." I was confused. I was scared. She was crying now, tears streaming down her face. Can we get coffee tomorrow? Talk this through properly?" I wanted to say no. I really did. But some part of me, the part that had loved her since we were 13, sitting next to each other in biology class, passing notes about our awful teacher, couldn't do it. "Fine. Coffee. That's it." She smiled through her tears. "Thank you." After she left, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything. The note, the hoodie, Eli's car in her driveway, that text about the flowers. By morning, I was exhausted. I almost canceled, but I didn't. We met our old spot. This little cafe halfway between our places with chipped blue mugs and a barista named Sophia who always remembered our orders. I got there first and grabbed a table in the back. She showed up 10 minutes late, which was actually early for Jules. "Hey," she said, sliding into the seat across from me. "Hey." I'd already ordered my usual black coffee. The waitress came over, and Jules ordered her complicated latte with extra everything. Some things never changed. We sat in awkward silence until her drink arrived. This had never happened before. We'd never run out of things to say to each other. "So," she finally said, "how have you been?" I almost laughed. How have I been? After my best friend and my brother got together behind my back? "Just great, Jules. Living the dream." She flinched. "I deserve that." "Yeah, you do." I took a sip of my coffee. "Why are we here?" "Really?" She looked down at her drink. "I told you. I miss you. I made a mistake." "With Eli or with me?" "Both." She reached across the table like she was going to touch my hand, but I pulled back. Eli and it was never right. We fought all the time. He's not. He's not like you. I sat back in my chair. So what? I'm your backup plan now that things didn't work out with him? No, it's not like that. She looked genuinely hurt. I've been thinking about you this whole time. About us. About what could have been. While you were with my brother. The words hung in the air between us. She didn't have an answer for that. Do you and Eli still talk? She finally asked. I frowned. What? I was just wondering if you and Eli still talk. After everything. Something felt off. I blocked him too, remember? Haven't spoken to him since that night. She nodded too quickly. Right. Of course. And there it was. The real reason for this meeting. The realization hit me hard. You don't miss me, do you? You miss being chosen. Her eyes widened. What? No, that's not. You're here because Eli dumped you, and now you're trying to make sure you don't lose me too. I stood up. You don't want me, Jules. You just don't want to be alone. That's not fair. She was crying again. I do miss you. I do care about you. Maybe you do, but not the way I need you to. I dropped some cash on the table and walked out. This time, she was the one staring at a door that wouldn't open. I drove around for hours after that, ended up at the beach, just sitting in my car watching the waves. My phone kept buzzing with texts from Jules, but I didn't read them. I was done. When I finally went home, I found Eli sitting on my doorstep. What do you want? I asked. He stood up. Jules called me. She was pretty upset, and I wanted to make sure you're okay. I laughed. Now you care if I'm okay? That's rich. I pushed past him and unlocked my door. He followed me inside without being invited. Look, I know I messed up, he said, but Jules and I are over for good. I turned to face him. Why are you telling me this? Because she loves you, man. She always has. I shook my head. She loves the idea of me. The safety net. The backup plan. Eli saw it. That's not true. She was a mess after you blocked her. She talked about you constantly. While she was dating you. That must have been fun. He had the decency to look embarrassed. It wasn't great. But that's why we broke up. She couldn't get over you. Just go, Eli. I am tired. She's at Angela's place, he said as he headed for the door. If you change your mind. I didn't respond. I just closed the door and collapsed on my couch. The next day was Saturday. I woke up to more texts from Jules and some from Eli too. I ignored them all and went for a run. When I got back, there was a package on my doorstep. No return address. Inside was a photo album. Our photo album. Jules and I'd started in high school. I thought she had it. I flipped through it slowly. There we were at prom with different dates, but somehow still in most of each other's pictures. Graduation, making stupid faces. College road trips. Her 21st birthday, when I held her hair back all night. My dad's funeral, where she didn't leave my side for 3 days straight. At the end, there was a new picture I'd never seen before. Me, standing on her porch with sunflowers, looking through her window. She must have taken it before she came outside. I looked so hopeful, so nervous, so in love. Underneath, she'd written, the moment I made the biggest mistake of my life. I closed the album and set it aside. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me like this. I spent the rest of the weekend ignoring my phone. By Monday, the text had stopped. I went back to work, trying to focus on normal life. On Wednesday, I ran into Angela at the grocery store. She pretended to be surprised, but I knew better. This was Jules's favorite store. How are you? She asked, blocking my path. Fine. Jules is a mess. She's barely eating, barely sleeping. I sighed. That's not my problem anymore. Angela crossed her arms. She made a mistake. A big one. But she loves you. She has a funny way of showing it. Look, I'm not defending what she did. But I've known Jules for years, and I've never seen her like this. I grabbed a random box of cereal. What do you want from me, Angela? Just talk to her. Really talk. I'll think about it. I didn't think about it. But that night, I found myself scrolling through old photos on my phone. Jules and me at every milestone. I missed her. Not just the romantic possibility, but her friendship. 6 years gone in an instant. The next day, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Hello. Is this Marcus? A woman's voice. Yes. Who's this? This is Beverly from Memorial Hospital. You're listed as Jules Parker's emergency contact. My heart dropped. What happened? Is she okay? She was in a car accident. Nothing life-threatening, but she's asking for you. I'll be right there. I drove to the hospital in a daze. All the anger, all the hurt, it was still there. But suddenly none of it mattered. Jules was hurt. She needed me. When I got to her room, she was sitting up in bed, pale but alert. She had a bandage on her forehead, and her arm was in a sling. You came? She said, sounding surprised. Of course I came. I stayed by the door. I didn't think you would. After everything. I moved to the chair beside her bed. What happened? Some idiot ran a red light. T-boned my car. My poor Civic didn't make it. But you're okay? Concussion, dislocated shoulder, some cuts and bruises. I'll live. She looked at me directly. I'm sorry they called you. I never updated my emergency contacts. It's fine. Is there someone else I should call? Your mom? Angela. She shook her head. Mom's in Florida. Angela's coming later. She hesitated. Eli stopped by earlier. I tensed. I didn't ask him to. He heard from Angela. We sat in awkward silence. Thank you for coming, she finally said. I know you hate me right now. I don't hate you, Jules. The admission felt like a weight lifting. I'm angry. I'm hurt. But I don't hate you. She nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek. I got your flowers, by the way. The sunflowers. That night, I froze. What? After you left? I found them on the porch. I knew they were from you. But you texted me saying you loved them. Like they were for Eli. She winced. I panicked. I didn't know what to say. I thought you knew I was with Eli and were just being nice. Being nice? I was there to tell you I loved you. I know that now. I didn't then. Not until later when Eli told me. I paced the small room. This is insane. I know. She was crying. I messed everything up. I was scared of losing you, so I pushed you away. Why Eli? Of all people, why my brother? She looked miserable. He was there. He was safe. He wasn't you. What does that even mean? It means I was terrified of ruining what we had. You were my best friend. What if we tried and it didn't work out? I'd lose everything. So instead you chose my brother, guaranteeing you'd lose me anyway. That makes no sense, Jules. I know it doesn't. She wiped at her tears. And then it was too late. You blocked me and I was stuck. I sat back down, exhausted. Why didn't you just break up with him? I tried. Multiple times. But then he'd talk about how it would ruin his relationship with you forever, and I'd feel guilty. That ship had already sailed. I know that now. She reached for my hand. I'm so sorry, Marcus. For everything. I looked at our hands together. It felt right, even after everything. Jules, this is a lot to process. She nodded. I understand. I should go. Let you rest. Will you come back? She looked so vulnerable, asking. Yeah, I said after a moment. I'll come back. I visited her the next 2 days. We talked about everything except us. By the time she was released on Saturday, we found our rhythm again. She asked if I could come over that night to talk. I agreed, nervous but willing. When I got to her apartment, Angela let me in, then conveniently remembered she had plans. Jules was on the couch, looking better but still bruised. Hey, she said softly. Hey, I sat in the chair across from her. Thanks for coming. And for visiting me. I nodded. I need to tell you something, she said. I saw Eli yesterday, and I told him I couldn't see him anymore. Not even his friends. Not for a while. I wasn't expecting that. Why? Because it's not fair to any of us. This weird triangle. I chose wrong, Marcus. I've been choosing wrong for months. I didn't know what to say. I found a photo album. I finally said. She nodded. I left it for you. I wanted you to remember us. The real us. That picture at the end. Of me on your porch. I took it when I saw you pull up. Before Eli called me back inside. I was so happy to see you there. But then I got scared again. Are you still scared? Terrified, she admitted. But I'm more scared of losing you forever. We talked for hours after that. Really talked. By the time I left, it was almost morning. So where does this leave us? She asked at the door. I don't know yet, but I'm willing to find out. She smiled. That's all I'm asking for. The next few weeks were weird. Good weird. Jules and I started hanging out again, but everything felt new. We went to movies, got coffee, took walks. Simple stuff. But there was this undercurrent of possibility. About a month after our dinner, Jules invited me over for movie night. I brought her favorite ice cream and sour candy worms. I have something for you, she said after we settled on her couch. She pulled out a small wrap package. Inside was a keychain with a sunflower charm. To replace the ones you brought that night, she explained nervously. I leaned over and kissed her. Not on the cheek. Oral quiche. She froze for a second, then kissed me back. When we pulled apart, we were both smiling. I wanted to do that since I was 13, I admitted. She laughed. Me too. We never did watch that movie. We spent the night talking about everything we'd been too scared to say for years. The next morning, I woke up on her couch, her head on my shoulder. I carefully moved her to a pillow and went to make coffee. As I was looking for mugs, I noticed a letter on her counter. My name caught my eye. It was addressed to me in her handwriting. The envelope was worn. Inside was a letter dated the day before I showed up with flowers. Marcus, it began. I've rewritten this a dozen times. So I'm just going to say it. I'm in love with you. I have been for years. You're my best friend, my favorite person. But you're also so much more. I want to be with you. Really be with you. I'm scared, but I'm ready if you are. Love, Jules. I see you found it, Jules said quietly from the doorway. You're going to give this to me? She nodded. That night, I had it all planned out. Then Eli showed up. Can I keep this? She smiled. Of course. I pulled her into a hug. She fit perfectly against me. We wasted so much time, she murmured. I kissed the top of her head. We have plenty more. That was 6 months ago. Jules and I are officially together now, and it's better than I ever imagined. Not perfect, we still argue about stupid stuff, but it's real. Eli and I are slowly rebuilding our relationship. It's not easy, but he's my brother. Jules helped me see that holding on to anger wasn't hurting anyone but myself. Last week, Jules and I went back to that Thai restaurant for our 6-month anniversary. When we sat down, she pulled out a small box and slid it across the table. What's this? I asked. Open it. Inside was a key. Her apartment key on a chain with a tiny sunflower charm. Move in with me, she said. I'm tired of going back and forth. I want to wake up with you every morning. Yes, we're moving my stuff in next weekend. I can already picture us on our balcony, watching sunsets together. It's funny how things work out. If you told me a year ago I'd be here, happy and in love with my best friend, I wouldn't have believed you. But sometimes the longest roads lead exactly where you're supposed to be. Jules is calling me from the other room. She wants help picking a movie for tonight. Some things never change, and I wouldn't want them to. I'm the happiest I've ever been. Life is really good.
Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow.